Hello everyone, I'm back again today, and I have a sort of bone to pick with Dungeons & Dragons. So, as you know, I love this game, and I love it so much that I want to spend almost all of my free time talking, writing, and playing this game. But one thing that I really don't love about D&D is the weaponry, and the tools one gets while playing the game. Personally, I love gadgets, gizmos, and all sorts of interesting and unique weapons that define the characters that we experience. And when I play D&D, I want my characters to evolve over time, and I want their weapons and gadgets to do the same. I want interesting and thought-provoking tools that I can use to complete my challenges in different ways that nobody has thought of before. And I normally don't see this in D&D. Normally, you will either have a character start off with his great sword and then finish the game with his great sword. Or maybe, if you're lucky, you'll get a flame tongue at level 10, like clockwork. Everyone gets a magic item once they reach level 10, and then you stick with that magic item until the end of the game. And I think that we can do better than that. I think D&D should be all about trying different types of weapons and gadgets and gizmos for all different types of situations. And as a dungeon master, it is our job to provide the players with this arsenal. So join me today in writing some fun weapons for D&D. So, in order to make items, first we need to make a shop for our players to buy these items from. So today our shop will be Mortal Apparatus. And the proprietor of Mortal Apparatus is Red Fasan. He is a tiefling man who is a bit older, around the age of 50, and he is a retired assassin who looks that way. Scars on his face, a gruff demeanor, and despite all of this, he has found himself a nice little corner of civilization away from the grasps of the law, where he lives out his retirement perfecting tools for the trade he once called his own. For money, he sells these tools that he has made to adventurers and other assassins for an immense profit. Fasan is a no-nonsense type of guy, and he only sells to those he seems fitting of using his weaponry. If you are a loudmouthed or a goofy type, Fasan will not like you, and he will remove you from his store, forcefully if he has to. He lives for the kill, and now that he is retired, he only accepts that same type of person who feels the way he once did, to be the ones to use the weaponry that he has made. Fasan's shop itself seems to be the first room of his own home, and inside of this small-ish room there is absolutely no furnishings or items for sale on display. There is just empty space and a few practice dummies, along with a counter where Fasan sits by himself. At that counter there is an assortment of weapons and gadgets that are all extremely deadly when they are used in the right hands. Yes, non-magical weapons and tools can and should add an entirely new level to gameplay for D&D. Whether it be combat or utility features, non-magical items can still offer a great value to the party when they are written properly. And first off, we have a simple but fun and effective item. It is a hidden blade that looks to be a small wrist guard that can be hidden under sleeves, and when activated with a bonus action, a small blade will extend out from it forward from the wrist of the wearer. On initial deployment of this hidden blade, the blade does 2d4 piercing when it hits a target, after which it will deal 1d4 slashing damage with normal attacks. Next up, we have another covert option for players, a cane sword, that outwardly this appears as just a normal walking stick, but it can be detached from its sheath with a bonus action, and it would reveal a hidden short sword that does 1d6 slashing damage on a hit. And if you are caught with either of these items and need to make a quick getaway, Fasan has packs of smoke pellets for you that seem to be a small pellet wrapped in linen, the size of about an acorn, that when thrown at the ground using an action, they create a thick cloud of smoke that smells of sulfur, heavily obscuring everything within a 15-foot radius for about a minute. Any attacks within this area have disadvantage, and all creatures in the radius who don't make noise are now considered hidden. All creatures in the area are also given the blinded condition and can't see where they're going. If Subterfuge doesn't work, be sure to avoid all attacks with your propulsion shield. That does something a little special. This shield, made of a strange metal that seems to absorb and retain shock, can be used to hurl enemies back, knocking them prone. As an action, activate the shield to push enemies back an equal number of feet to the amount of damage the shield has blocked. If the shield reaches 30 damage, it will release the energy into the wielder, pushing them back 30 feet and knocking them prone. Finally, if you must get up close and personal with a kill, you can get Fasan's rope dart. That, as an action, you can throw this dart at an enemy up to 15 feet away. On a hit, they take 1d4 piercing damage and are pulled towards you by 10 feet. As you can see from these examples, weapons don't need to be complex or add an extra damage or change the game in some drastic way. All they need to do is add a bit of flavor and get your players thinking on what they can use these items for. Because I know that we have all had that experience where we are sitting and we're playing our characters and we stare down and realize that we have been using the same weapons week in and week out without nothing fresh. And no one wants that. You never want your campaign to feel stale or by the numbers in any way. So exposing your players to new and interesting weapons every session can add a lot for them. They don't even need to buy this item. They could just see it and talk to the NPC that is selling it and feel all of the possibilities that this item can provide. And that alone will get them excited for the games to come and get them amped up to come back and buy that item so that they can have it and they can use it in whatever way they want. Keeping your games fresh is wildly important for players' fun and your fun, and I am telling you that your shops and interesting items are the way to go. That is how you keep a game fresh, is by adding all of these different new things every session. So the next session that you write, add 2 or 3 of these shops for your players to peruse and make that character owning the shop stand out and be fun to talk to. And be sure to write down a bunch of fun items for your players. And if that seems like a lot of work that can be potentially wasted, then add combats or puzzles or dungeons later on that would be a lot easier if your players had bought those items that those shops sell. Then players will stop and they will think and they will remember all of these interesting items and the even more interesting NPCs that they talk to, and maybe even turn around and go back to that town to get those items. And that is going to add a whole new layer of strategy to your games, the risk, the reward, and the payoff. A massive amount of new drama and roleplay and decision making, all because you added a couple shops that sell smoke pellets a few towns back. And that is why D&D is so great, and that is how you become a great DM, fleshing out your worlds. But not in the way people think, with histories and political systems. You become a great DM by fleshing out your world with fun and interesting things to do, and new and creative ways to do those things, with risk and reward that your players will debate and celebrate. Anyways, I have gotten a tad bit passionate and tangential, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching another video, and hey, thanks for being here, supporting me. If there is anything that you want to hear me talk about, just put it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video or enjoy the channel in general, please consider subscribing. Also, if you're new here, be sure to check out some of my other content. I just did a super fun video on Tears of the Kingdom, so maybe go check that out. And hey, have fun playing Dungeons & Dragons.